In this video, we're going to talk about a few additional subscription resources for Massachusetts court rules and the law of evidence in Massachusetts, as well as some free sources. So I just wanted to point out on Bloomberg Law, there are court rules here, but they're not annotated and there's no citating feature. But I'll show you if you go to the general search under all legal content and look in the Massachusetts materials. In the Massachusetts materials, you'll see that there are the court rules here, both federal and state. And as well, I wanted to remind you about the Massachusetts secondary sources, namely those MCLE treatises that are available here that you could find helpful. There's one other source, it's the ABA-BNA Lawyer's Manual that I wanted to take a look at. I think it's a little bit easier to use on the BNA interface, but I'll show you where it is here in case this is a source you have where you work. To get to it on Bloomberg Law, click Search and Browse, BNA Manuals, and then it's alphabetical, and it's called the Lawyer's Manual here, not the ABA Lawyer's Manual, so you have to scroll down to the Lawyer's Manual on Professional Conduct. And I'll just show you what's available here. The reason I think it's better on the native BNA interface is these are all in sort of one database. So you have the Lawyer's Manual on Professional Conduct. It does have ABA ethics opinions. It has ethics opinions of the various states, at least summaries. The model rules, so these are the unannotated ones, and some state ethics opinions and practice guides. So these would be guides by the subject area. And we'll take a look at these on the native interface, the BNA interface. So those were just some of the sources. We're not going to spend a lot of time on Bloomberg, but if this is something you had at work that was a lower cost option for you, there are some resources here that could be helpful. Okay, so this is what the interface looks like for the ABA-BNA Lawyer's Manual on Professional Conduct, and so you might be able to see why I like this interface a little bit better. I have a lot of search options here. I can do a quick search, an advanced search. I can link right into certain things like the ABA ethics opinions or summaries of state ethics opinions, including Massachusetts. I have some current awareness type materials, links to various rules, some indexing help, and then I have these really helpful practice guides. So they're not mass specific is the drawback, of course. So I would want to start with the mass specific materials, but if I didn't find anything helpful, this could be another place to look to find other interpretations about particular rules. And the reason that we would look at those for perhaps persuasive authority or help with interpretation is because 49 of the 50 states have modeled their rules of professional conduct on the ABA model rules, same as we have in Massachusetts. Okay, so that's the Lawyer's Manual on the BNA interface. I just want to mention a few of the other resources available from our law school research databases page, and one of them that I thought would be or possibly could be helpful for rules practice is the prosecutor's guide that we have. Right here, the Massachusetts Prosecutor's Guide could be a source that could be helpful. Let's take one quick look at it before we move on. And you can see that they have procedural issues, evidentiary issues, things that might be helpful for both procedural and substantive criminal law issues. Okay, let's take a look at some of the free sources for court rules. So we've been to this web page already. It's in the Massachusetts court system, which we've used before under cases and legal resources. It's the rules and order page. A couple of things here. You'll see that there's a disclaimer that they've made an effort to ensure accuracy, but it's not the definitive version of the rules, which you would find in the Mass Reports, which is what you would consider to be authoritative. But it's really helpful to have these sources here. We have the general rules and then the more specific rules of the different courts. And we also have the rules of professional conduct, and under guidelines, we have the evidentiary guidelines from the SJC. You can see that is listed here, the Massachusetts Guide to Evidence. So that was under guidelines. The court rules, including the rules of professional conduct, are under this link, rules and orders. Let's take a quick look at the rule of civil procedure we've been looking at in the other sources, Rule 7, just so that you can get a sense of what it looks like here on the free source. So we're getting the text of the rule, of course, and then in the reporter's notes we're getting that commentary, but it's not annotated, so we have no case interpretation following or no buttons at the top. And we also can't, there's no citator, so we're not getting case interpretation that way. Before we leave this site, let's just take a look at how you could update a little bit what you're looking at. Of course, like any database, you have to figure out how current it is, what you're looking at. And then if you look over under rules and orders, in addition to listing all the different courts, there's this topic, this link here for rule changes. And this gives proposed rule changes as well as new rules and recent amendments. And it shows you, these are ones where they're proposed amendments, so they're still in the commenting period. And these are actual amendments that have happened. So these are, for example, there's been some amendments to Rule 307, which you know, the SJC, which you know are the rules of professional conduct. There were some other amendments to the Uniform Trial Court rules and the rules of criminal procedure. And you can see by clicking in what the amendments were, when the amendment took place, and when it's effective. So this is one place that you would go if you have a database, either here on the free site, Lexis or Westlaw, if it's not been updated recently, that you could look to see if there were any amendments to the rule that you were examining. Okay, let's take a couple of minutes to look at where you could go to find ethics opinions, the ones from the Massachusetts Bar Association and the Boston Bar Association, that you can get to for free online. There was a print source mentioned as well for the Massachusetts Bar Association in your reading, but we're going to look at the free online availability. Okay, so I just Googled the Massachusetts Bar Association ethics opinions and I got to this page. And what's listed on the front page here are the most recent ethics opinions from 2014, but you can see we have links here to older opinions as well on this side. So let's just look at one of these so you have an idea of what one of these ethics opinions looks like. So there's a summary of the issue, what the facts are, and then the discussion from the Bar Association. Here you can see this one's, it's not too long, but this is a pretty interesting issue. It's whether a lawyer for a party can friend somebody on the other side in order to obtain information. So I'll let you read that if you're interested. Okay, I also wanted to look at the ethics opinions from the Boston Bar Association. Again, I just typed it in and Googled it. And you'll see that even though it's a source that you could look at, most of these are pretty old here and they don't issue very many opinions, but it's another source for ethics opinions in Massachusetts. The last thing I want to take a quick look at is the ABA materials put up by the Center for Professional Responsibility. Again, these materials aren't going to be binding authority in Massachusetts, but they can be helpful when you're interpreting a particular rule of professional conduct. So let's just take a quick look at that website. So this is the ABA's website, in particular the Center for Professional Responsibility. And there are a couple of things that might be helpful here under resources. For example, you'll see that there is featured resources here. There's the ABA formal ethics opinions. This is just a selection of them. It's not everything. There's the model rules of professional conduct here for you. It's not an annotated version, but it's a free source that could be helpful. Directory of the different state disciplinary agencies. There's even some links, might not be in this section, but in another section to, let's see, I think it's under links of interest to different places that you can find state ethics opinions. So if you were working in another state, not in Massachusetts, this could be a good place to go to look for information that's available for a particular state that you're working in. Okay, so those are some other resources that I thought you might find helpful for doing research in this area.